When looking at this problem, the first thing we should notice is we have to put our solution into interval form. Interval form is the same thing as interval notation. Interval notation consists of putting our answer in either brackets and or parentheses. We also know that if x is less than a number, we will end up with a negative infinity. If x happens to be greater than the number, we will end up with a positive infinity. Infinities always have parentheses around them. Also, when we look at our problem, we see that our variable is in between two different inequalities. So our first step for these inequalities is to break them up into two separate inequalities. Our first one will be negative 2 is less than or equal to 2x plus 4 over 2. And then our second inequality will then add the 8. The first thing we are going to do is break this inequality into this piece, as it's written here. So we are going to solve this inequality. The first thing we notice is that this side is being divided by 2. So to get rid of the 2, we then have to multiply both sides by 2. These divide to 1, and we are left with a negative 4 less than or equal to 2x plus 4. Next, we are going to subtract the 4 over. We get a negative 8 on this side is less than or equal to 2x. The last step is going to be dividing both sides by 2. These sides, the 2's divide to 1, and we are left with negative 8 divided by 2, which is negative 4, is less than or equal to rx. And that is our solution for the first half of our inequality. We are now going to look at the second part of our inequality. For the second part of the inequality, we look to see that this side is being divided by 2. When that happens, we have to multiply both sides by our 2. These divide to 1, and 8 times 2 gives us 16. So we have 2x plus 4 is less than or equal to 16. Our next step will be to subtract 4 over to the other side. We are left with 2x is less than or equal to 12. Our last step will be to divide this side by 2, and whatever we do to that side, we have to do to the other. The 2's divide by 1, and we are left with x is less than or equal to 12 divided by 2, which is also 6. So this is our solution to our second part of our inequality. Now, with our two solutions, we can combine them to say negative 4 is less than or equal to x, which is then less than or equal to 6. This is another way we can write this, and it means the same thing. Now, when we look at this, our last step of the problem is to put it into interval form. To put this problem into interval form, we see that 6 is our greatest number. We also see then that negative 4 is the least number. For this problem, we know that they are going to be combined with brackets because both are less than or equal to. The equal to tells us that we need brackets around our answer. So our answer should be negative 4, 6 in brackets, and that should match letter C.